Thank you very much for coming today. It's great to be here, and it is with great pleasure and distinct honor to introduce a very special friend and a special friend to all of us. He started his working career in college as an intern with architect. He later became a registered architect, and then he rose in that firm to the senior partner and president of the North Carolina's largest architectural firm in North Carolina. As all of you know, he was elected lieutenant governor in 2012, becoming the second Republican governor elected since 1897. He is involved in so many issues and boards. Very proud that in agriculture, he is co-chair of the processing task force. He's involved in economic development, working with our state economic development boards. In energy, he's chairman of the Energy Policy Council. He is working diligently in so many areas, but one of his top areas is education. This gentleman has devoted his entire service in his current role to making North Carolina better in education. He serves as chairman of the E-Learning Commission. He's also on the board of the Digital Learning. He has many goals in education. His vision is to make sure that North Carolina will have a custom-type curriculum for every child in our state. His goal also is leading the way for North Carolina to be the first state in the nation to have classrooms connected with high-speed wireless internet. He wants to make sure that every child has a device in his hand so they can understand world issues. One thing you may not know about him, and I met him during this process, he is founder and was president of the Triangle Leadership Forum. That's a faith-based organization that he founded in our city of Raleigh and in North Carolina for young men to be sponsored by others to increase their faith and to work with their families and be a closer family person. He has served very much in that area and worked very hard in developing that organization. He continues to be a great leader, and I trust and hope that he'll become the only two-term Republican lieutenant governor in our history. He is a family man. He and his lovely wife, Alice, has 4 children. Welcome with me, the Honorable Lieutenant Governor of the state of North Carolina, Dan Forrest.
Thank y'all. Thank you. Y'all have a seat. Have a seat. Thank y'all so much. Boy, it's great to be with you. I have no idea how you get so many politicians to show up at the Angus Barn for a free meal. It's amazing. How did you guys do that? You know, what an awesome place here, what an awesome venue, and the food's always fantastic, and a great time of fellowship with great friends. And there's a lot of people here that, as I speak today, I'm going to be really talking about their accomplishments. But when you talk about North Carolina and you talk about freedom, you talk about our enterprises, and you talk about foundations, as an architect, those are all things that I'm passionate about, and as a politician as well. And so thank you for the North Carolina Free Enterprise Foundation for putting this on and bringing folks together really just to hear what's going on in our state, because I think one of the greatest challenges we have in North Carolina is getting our message out. How do we tell people what we have been doing? And I know you have a bunch of great speakers lined up today who are going to share the good news about what's been going on in North Carolina. But I want to take a few minutes to give you some of the highlights, because I'm probably going to share a few things with you that you've never heard before. Hopefully I will, because we're doing some really great work and building really solid foundation for business here in North Carolina. But first I'll just start by saying I am a Southerner, born and raised in the South, but I can talk like a Yankee. So I'm going to word about 180 words a minute with gusts up to about 300. So I'm really going to speak fast today, so bear with me. And I'll try to get through this quickly. But I want to back up a little bit, because everything we do everything we've been doing for the last few years in North Carolina is about building a solid foundation for business, to allow businesses to grow and to flourish and to prosper. And our job as government is really, the main purpose is to protect you. Not to run your lives, not to run your businesses, but to protect you and to get out of the way and allow you to do it. And so the successes that we've seen in North Carolina from an economic standpoint, foundationally are helped by what we do in government and what we do from a policy standpoint. Senator Brown, how are you? What we do from a policy standpoint. But at the same time, you're the ones that really deserve the credit for the growth of what's been going on in North Carolina. So I'm going to back up a little bit. And when we took office and the administration changed and we kind of took control of Raleigh at the House and the Senate level as well, we started off with a bit of a deficit, about $3 billion. And principally and fundamentally, we said, you know what, if we're going to change the structure and the way things have been operating in Raleigh for a while, we need to make sure that we don't raise taxes on people at a time when they're hurting the most, when middle-class families are struggling the most. That's not the time to go back to them and say, we want more of your money, so help us pay off this $3 billion deficit. No, that's not what the General Assembly and the governor did. We said, you know what, we're going to right-size government, we're going to make it more efficient, make it more customer-friendly, and they did that because we have a balanced budget amendment, $3 billion. And then they came back and said, you know what, we're also going to cut sales tax $1.5 billion so you have more money in your pocket. And then they came back the next session and said, you know what, we're going to do comprehensive tax reform in North Carolina, something that 36 states in the United States tried. 36 states tried it, only one was successful, and that was North Carolina. And we moved, by doing that one thing, we moved all the way from 44th in the nation in business tax climate to now we're 16th, getting ready to be 15th in the nation in business tax climate, just by that one bit of policy. So really telling the whole world that North Carolina is open for business. And then we came back and said, you know what, we're not done yet. We still have more work to do. We're going to reform and right-size unemployment in North Carolina. As many of you know, we had a $2.7 billion debt that small business owed to the federal government, one of the third largest debt in America, in fact, owed to the federal government, and paid that back in record time. And not only paid that $2.7 billion back in record time, which was just paid off this year, but also now have $1 billion surplus in unemployment as well, so that you guys in the small business world, making the world go around, now are putting $600 million a year back into the economy because of that. And I did see, I want to call out one person here. I saw Dale Falwell. Dale, where's Dale? Raise your hand if Dale Falwell is here. Dale Falwell, at the time was head of employment security in North Carolina, and Dale was really the mastermind behind getting that done. So Dale, thank you for your efforts in making that happen. And then you know, we could go on and on about the accomplishments that have again been created foundationally by government, but some of the things that happen, you know, after right-sizing and reforming unemployment rate dropped 34% in North Carolina. Our unemployment rate's far lower than it was when we took office. We're putting people back to work. You guys have created nearly 250,000 private sector jobs. Secretary Scavaro, isn't that right? We're about close to 250,000 private sector jobs because of the work that you've been doing, because I believe when you cut income tax, when you cut personal income tax and corporate income tax, you're putting more monies back into the pockets of the people who create jobs. So we want to say thank you for investing back into the economy and helping the economy grow. And then if you added just all those numbers up, and we've gone from, again, a $3 billion deficit to a $1 billion surplus in government, all those numbers that I just mentioned to you, just in a few short years, adds up to about $12 billion. That's a $12 billion swing in a few years, and we still have a lot of work to do, so we hope that you'll let us keep doing that, but that's really good foundationally. And so on top of that, you know, there's other things that are important to building good, solid, free enterprise and attracting businesses to the state of North Carolina. When businesses are coming to your state, you know, a business owner, a CEO wants to say, where do I want to invest my money? Well, one thing they want to do is go to a place that's not going to take a bunch of their money from them, from the government. So we're continuing to work to drive down income tax in North Carolina. We want to get to zero. We'd like to get to zero personal and corporate income tax in North Carolina. Again, putting more money in the pockets of you guys so that you can grow the economy. And so that's what business owners are looking for, and we can compete with our neighbors across the South and around the world by doing that. Not only did we do that, we invested in other places that are also important to free enterprise, like education. A lot of people don't know this, but when we took office Education Department of Public Instruction, the budget was cut by $1.25 billion when we took office, and we've put $1.5 billion back into education. We now spend more money on K-12 education in North Carolina than we've ever spent in the history of the state. At the same time that all those other things were going on, we gave teachers the largest raise in the United States of America right here in North Carolina, investing in education. While all that was going on, we also said, you know what, we're going to transform the pedagogy or the way education works in North Carolina, and we're going to invest in the digital technology plan, the digital learning plan in North Carolina. We're going to transform from paperback, hardback books to the digital economy and the way that everybody else demands that it works around here. And we've done that. We've started doing that. We've put more money into education to make that transition, and I believe that next year we will have every single classroom connected to high-speed broadband in North Carolina. No other state will be able to claim that. And then shortly after that, we'll have one-to-one devices in the hands of our students. And we will be the first state in the nation to truly make this digital transition in North Carolina. And I could go on about that, but I'm not going to, because you'll just have to watch and see what's going to happen, because it's really going to change the opportunity gap in North Carolina. That's what it's about. It's about bridging the opportunity gap in education. It's about providing that student that is in, let's say, Bertie County, that doesn't have access to the School of Science and Math, doesn't have access to the best and brightest teachers and professors around the world, real-time access to content as they need it, to be able to finally, for the first time in the history of the world, bridge that opportunity gap. And so there's exciting things going on in education. There's exciting things going on in energy. We need to chair the Energy Policy Council. We're trying to create a comprehensive long-term energy policy for our state as well, making sure that we continue to draw jobs into North Carolina, to make sure that low-cost, abundant energy, affordable energy is available for all North Carolina citizens. So we're, on all fronts, we're creating a solid foundation in North Carolina. And now that we have establish that foundation. Now that we've been working on customer service, making sure we're providing the services to you the way that government should operate, now we can start talking about the envisioned future for our state. What is our state going to look like in 10, 20, 50 years from now? You can start building upon that foundation. As an architect, you know that you have to have that foundation before you start building the beautiful building that everybody wants to see, and nobody ever really sees the foundation. It's below grade. You don't really even look at it. You don't know it exists. And so the hard work has really been done, and now we can start painting that envisioned future. How is North Carolina going to be the leader that North Carolina once was? How are we going to reform manufacturing? How are we going to be a leader in things like intelligent transportation and things like regenerative medicine and all the amazing things that are already going on in the state? We want to be a leader in the world for those things. And we want people to point to North Carolina and say, you know, what's going on? What's different about North Carolina? And what's going to be different is all the work that you guys are doing on the foundation to make that happen. So I look out here and I see lots of members of the House and lots of members of the Senate and folks that work in our agencies with our governor. And I just want to say thank you to you guys for what you do, because it's thankless work. Yeah, you never really get patted on the back and say thank you for what you're doing. But if you'll please join me in saying thank you to those folks and giving them a round of applause for the things that I just said. Really appreciate it. So, thank you. We will continue to do what we do. You guys continue to do what you do. Make the world go around. Continue to create jobs and make North Carolina prosperous. God bless you all. Have a Merry Christmas. Bye now.